because given the time, so we have already lost 15 minutes, and I think it's important we have a lot to discuss. So some of our sort of participants, speakers, they're going to join us as we go. So maybe let me start with myself and also explain you how we like to have this session going forward. My name is Emrah Engindenis. I'm working with UNHABITAT Global Water Operator Partnership Alliances. That's the UN program and the only UN program focusing on water utilities and partnership. So today's discussion, maybe the next slide. So what we would like to do to have a bit of like, I'm going to explain a little bit what GOWPA is, Global Water Operator Partnership is, and what we do, and also explain you a little bit more what is the importance of having a platform in the region and what idea we have in mind, so that we also to have a bit of guided discussion and also contribution from the esteemed partners to tell us their experience and then to tell us also what they think about the topic. And then we wrap up in a way that we have a bit better understanding of what the platform can do and what is it the idea behind and how we can collectively take this moving forward. Just a second. So just a little bit brief history where GOWPA came from, for those who are not aware or who are not familiar with the Global Water Operator Partnership Alliances. So we were established by the UN Secretary General Kofi Annan Advisory Board back in 2009. So at that time, the advisory board actually made an assessment and come up with the three main conclusions, three main sort of like recommendations. So one of which were the water utilities are essential service provider in the cities. So they are really important to be looked at. And second, the water and sanitation utilities and operators or cities department, they are struggling with the immense challenges and high demand to meet. And the third, within the global sort of landscape, so we have quite a number of water and utilities around the world. They have a various type of experience and expertise and knowledge, and we need to tap into this expertise to our day-to-day work and see how this expertise can be brought into the partnership to support one another to improve the services for all. So from that idea, so in fact the idea started almost 2009, but then 2006 and 2009 we were officially asked by the UN Secretary General, UNHABITAT, to host the Secretariat at UNHABITAT. So then ever since we have number of sort of like programming time. So we currently actually sitting in Bonn, Germany, and funded by the German Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development. So next, and the very sort of essential DNA and the work of the GOWPA is actually the water operator partnership. So what do we say? What do we mean by water operator partnership? Some of the keywords are actually highlighted here, and one of which is this is a non-for-profit partnership. So this is a peer-to-peer non-for-profit partnership. The reason is there is almost like 98%, 99% of the water operators are public institutions, are public. They are working in a public sphere. So the WOP relies on heavily, it has to be between peer-to-peer, and is not seen as a money-making sort of like instrument. It's really the capacity enhancement. The second is when we say operator, so is operator, we also means like utilities, departments within the municipalities, and those public institutions are responsible providing services in water and sanitation. And again, it's the practice is meant to actually not doing for one another, but actually co-creating and learning together, so to improve capacity of one another. Why this is important? So unlike other sort of like UN programs and work, so this is not flying in and out consultant or expert and not trying to find, establish a model and testing and piloting and scaling. It's purely bringing already existing knowledge capacity, already tested approach to bring to the utilities that in need and see how we can actually support one another. It is very much also solidarity-based approach, and it is really capacity building component. So there are multiple ways looking at why this practice and this model is important. So we often talk about more or less the 4 issues. So the one of which is really WOP about looking at the performance improvement of the utilities. It's not necessarily going and building pipe and things. It's very much focusing on institutional capacity and bringing those knowledge and expertise on board, making sure institutions are equipped with the necessary knowledge and to perform better. So once they perform better, so hopefully this will translate to the better service provision and effective service delivery. So it has a high financial leverage. Usually investing in $1 immediately triggers $2-3 of the sort of contribution from different partners. So it has a very high leverage to bring actually and the financial cost is very actually low. So the other third element is this: the WOPs has been really the ripple effect, creating. Once the utility actually improve their capacity, they tend to also provide and share their learned capacity with others. So you see actually, you see here, so it's a little bit difficult to see, is one of the sort of Moroccan utility that received like a peer-to-peer learning support. So they became actually a mentor and supporting, and currently many other actually utility in sub-Saharan Africa. So there is like ripple effect once utility engage in partnership, so they also provide support to other peers. So, and ultimately, this is a way of localizing SDGs and delivering SDGs, because the service provider, the utility service provider are local service providers. So this is another way to enhance the SDG delivery through the localizing and enhancing capacity of the local actor. So we are not necessarily pen holder of this practice, and not necessarily only the institution that actually promote this practice. There are quite a number of actors, there are quite a number of the platforms, and they've been operating and different type of the globe, and it's becoming very sort of also popular. And for you to know, there is already, for example, many of the development banks are engaging. This is as almost like a capacity development instruments for the banks before they actually provide the loan and credit to utilities for infrastructure, infrastructure development. Asian Development Bank, World Bank, and the Inter-American Development Bank. So they've all engaged and providing, they have their water operator partnership programs. And of course, recently now it's becoming also an instrument to actually to help crisis-affected context. GIZ and with the water, German Water Partnership is looking at this model in Ukraine and there is actually model also is going to happen hopefully in Turkey after the earthquake. And so this is also becoming really avenue for the utilities to give hands during the crisis and during after the post-crisis to build back better. So we have this strategy is actually very much focusing on the improving and scaling the WOP practice at the global scale, producing knowledge, and making this knowledge available to actors around the globe. So I'm not going into details. So and one more slide here on the GOWPA governance. So we are, as much as UN entity, so it is alliances of the utilities and their members, our members, and is governed by the International Steering Committee, and also sort of mandated by the assembly. Assemblies, there are sort of selected seats for the utilities to sit in the steering committee, but also to become part of the General Assembly. So for this, you need to be member of the GOWPA. So that's also, I'm going to give you a little bit guidance later. And all of this is actually also governed and written down by the charter that provides sort of like framework, how the memberships are governed, how the secretariat function is working. So we are, as a secretariat here, basically sitting in Bonn and trying to facilitate the mechanism. So I'm not going into details of the principles, but really critical for you to know that's what we are trying to promote with our members, utilities, to try to make them inclusive, service provider, and make sure that this is not really for profit partnership. They are engaging for peer-to-peer learning, solidarity-based partnership. So the member agreed to have a mutual of benefits. So there's not one sort of like institution benefits, but everyone, and promotes also transparency and culture of solidarity and supporting sustainable development change. So we are supported by various partners. The key partners are see on the screen. You see the German federal government is supporting our sort of hosting secretariat function. We have partnership with the Netherlands Water Partnership Program, supporting the knowledge piece to be developed. We have an EU that is actually supporting 22 WOP partnership around the globe. We have a number of them also in Arab region. We have recently engaged with the UNICEF, starting to implement within their WASH program how to bring actually the water operator partnership on board. Department of Energy in Abu Dhabi, our long-lasting partnership with them and also OPEC Foundation. And we recently also get on board Bill Melinda Gates Foundation. We're trying to look at also sanitation-focused water operator partnership within the GOWPA network. So I'm going to stop here, and I have another round of the slides to explain a little bit on the platform, but I'm going to stop here because we would like to give a floor to our colleagues that are actually here. So before I introduce them, invite them for their sort of contribution. So you can actually scan this code and access to the discussion, and you can also type it there, your experience, if you like to also engage, if you couldn't get the time to speak. So there's also opportunity, you can just scan the code and engage in discussion. Without further ado, I would like to first invite to Mr. Khaldun, Secretary General of ACWA. So we've been discussing long with them on the partnership, on the platform ideas and all that things. So Mr. Khaldun, would you like to come and give us something?
Thank you, Emre. Well, when I started working in Aqua, GOWPA was also started to formulate themselves before that in Abu Dhabi, then they moved to Nairobi. And I remember that we had a meeting in Cape Town to decide what we need. And at that time, there was utilities from all over the world, especially from the South, African utilities, and some of Arab utilities. I remember there was from Palestine, Lebanon, Jamal at that time, and Jordan, myself, and I was in the steering committee for 2 years. Then when the change, etc., there was a little bit disconnect with this very important organization, actually. Till we have Mr. Emery again talking before that, I was invited for 2 conferences in Abu Dhabi to decide what we need. And there was some guests and colleagues. I remember the CEO of Aqaba. I remember Akram Nassar from Palestine. And I remember also Khalid Ubaid from Tarablos, Lebanon. And we decided about certain things. And there were also private sector from north of the Mediterranean and some other utilities. And we wrote a small roadmap. And I remember Aqua did the survey about what we need in training, etc. And again, we came to COVID, and we disappeared everything. But again, Mr. Emery came with a new thought of relaunching GOWPA within the Arab region. Then we said, yes, what we need, because one of our main tasks and mandate in Aqua is to bring utilities through twinning and the transfer of knowledge. That's Aqua. Aqua and GOWPA actually mandate. Now, we are here. Do we need a platform? GOWPA is now offering or thinking of making a platform for our region. And again, they will publish it to see who are interested within a certain criteria. Of course, it's not secret. I read the criteria. I found that we can write a proposal to host this within Aqua. And the mandate is very clear. And I think it is very important to make utilities lead utilities. We have some utilities are very progressive in certain functionalities and know-how, while the others, they need a help. And I remember that we did 2 twinnings. Ahmed was with me. We make training between Beirut and Aqaba, between Aqaba and Salt Governorate within Waj, within Jordan even. Now, do we need? Myself, I came from utilities. And I think this is one of the most important that we have to complete our circle of knowledge, to bring people together, to make people leading each other. Aqaba will go and suppose make knowledge transfer to Aden. And by the way, they asked me to sign one in this event. I said, let us wait. At Havarman. Or we can learn from Palestine in Gaza or Aqaba how they manage the risk there. Or, Aden. It's not only that you know the knowledge, but there are some important, let me say, experiences that rich utility and good utility, they don't know. Like how you run your utility within COVID. This was some people, they did very good job in that. Now, this is my, let me introduction to the point. Now, I'm supposed to talk about some technical issues. And I think some of these issues needs the utility. It is what we have to do in our maintenance, what tools we need to improve the utility performance, what systems we need, and how we can, mainly we have operation, we have maintenance, we have services, we have customers, we have financial and money issues, and these are the core business of the utility. I'm talking service provider. But again, other utilities, they also go for strategic planning whenever they are not connected with a ministry, like SONED, ONAS in Tunis, or ONE in Morocco. So we need to go for what we ask in this conference, to be a smart utilities. We need to automate all our operations. In Lebanon, we did mobile application to go to the field, collect data, make maintenance, send all the data direct to the server without any interference. This is needed. If utility, they don't have an integrated management information system, then it will be a handicap utilities. You have to connect everything. GIS system, I'm sorry to talk while you are the expert. GIS system, asset management, billing system, financial system, HR, all these things should be integrated. You have to know where is your customers. And if your customer, your, maintenance team goes to the field, what he did. By that, if you know the result of these reports, when it goes to the management informations, the management maintenance system, then you finally you have a report. Well, I have a problem in this facility. 10 times problem in these pumps. This pipe was broken 20 times. At the end, I will have where I have to invest my money. Do we need to change all the network or that? This is, some utilities are very progressed in our region. And I'm not talking about those utilities who have a lot of money, but for other utilities who still are doing their work and covering their cost. This is what we need. And I think these utilities, that by bringing those two together, we can transfer and guide each other to give the best services to our customers. I don't ignore also the importance of having a third party. Matchmaking, it's not one-to-one, could be 3. One very progressed utility, let us say from north, Hamburg, Barcelona, whatever. 2 utilities from the region, one is doing a good job and the other needs a lot of help. Now, when we talk about matchmaking, I want to remind my friends, it's not a visit and tours. It's not, I have to travel to this country and this man will come, we got introduced, exchange business card and go back, because sometimes it happens. Now we need some people to go and sit and learn and teach those people, and somebody else has to go to the other utility and learn from them and go back to implement what he's doing. There is a leader and there is somebody to get the knowledge, to receive the knowledge. Saying that, I am asking, it's a question. I don't need answer. Do we need in the Arab region a platform for us? And we don't need to invest a lot, sorry. We have could be 1 or 2 organizations or 3, I don't know, may have this container and have this platform with them. Myself in Aqua, I will be glad to apply to host this platform within Aqua. This is what I can say, my friend, and I will leave the floor for the other speakers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khaldun, for your support and also wise words. So I'd like to next invite to Mr. Mohammed Said. Would you like to speak there, or you want to come here? Okay. So I was waiting. We were talking about this issue, and then I found that he's actually sole sort of champion for this idea. So floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Well, it's not championship, it is the need. We have seen lots of brain drain, and we'd like to capture those who are leaving their utilities wherever they are, so we can still benefit from their experience and know-how. Over the past 3-4 hours, we've been hearing a lot about the challenges that is being faced in the MENA region. We talked about unsustainable water use, especially groundwater. We've talked about almost all wastewater is not being used wisely. The cross-boundary resources and shared resources, inefficient management of water resources, limited data and accuracy of that data. We've talked about limited coordination among stakeholders. We've talked about limited adherence to governance principles and tools, if they are available at all. We talked about incomplete water laws and water legal environment. But still, the economic and population demand is increasing. Complexity of environment and climate change, the public expectations, they all force us to look into solutions. Some countries, including Palestine, thought that we'll have a good, strong legal system. And that is the topic of what I'm supposed to talk about, the legislation, laws, and regulations. We have in Palestine the basic law. Out of that, we have different ministries, laws and bylaws. Then we have the water law. And then we have drafted and amended and approved the bylaws, different bylaws. Then we talked about policies, which are not there yet. But we talk also about instructions. Then we are talking now about standards, benchmarks, and targets. Now, all of that list, being laws, bylaws, regulations, instructions, benchmarks, are they the solution for the challenges we have just mentioned? But even if we have all of that, we have built in Palestine the database, we have initiated the peer-to-peer learning, we have initiated capacity building programs, we have prepared lots of manuals, modules, and recently we have started putting the challenge, the targets and the benchmarks. Now, would that be the magic solution for the challenges that we have faced? Would laws, regulations, and bylaws be good enough? On the one hand, none of our countries have all of that completed. As I've said before, the legal system is not completed yet. Even if you have the law, you may not have the bylaw. If you have the bylaw, you may not have clearance on the mandate between different peers and different ministries or institutions. If you have the bylaws, do you have the instructions? Because some of the bylaws implementation is limited to having instructions issued by the minister. Even if you have those, do you have standards? And do you have benchmarks and targets? But is there any teeth for these bylaws and regulations? In Palestine, it's not only that. Can we implement those in Area B, Area A, Area B, Area C, H1, H2? In some Arab countries with different settings, again, implementation of regulations and bylaws may not be easy. Now, would these regulations tackle the attitude? Most of the lack of management is due to attitude. It's not only the stakeholders, it's the customers' attitude. Would they tackle the historic the political and the traditional rights on water resources, especially those who believe that a water spring is their own right, or a local river is their own right as a community, and then go beyond that into cross-boundary. Would they meet customers' expectations of water quantities, qualities, and fair price, affordable price? But have we worked together as institutions to make sure that these laws, regulations, bylaws, mandates are in harmony between and within different institutions and ministries? Are we adopting enough governance principles to support the implementation of these laws and bylaws? Well, these are just a list of few questions, and the list can be so long of questions that doesn't show that laws, regulations are enough. Unless there is enough teeth for these legal instruments, unless we can measure the impact of implementing these bylaws and regulations, unless we have good, accurate data that can support and measure the impact of these legal systems, we may not make it. Now, the issue is really interesting. In Palestine, we do not only collect data, we do not only present data, but we bring all stakeholders, all utilities under one umbrella, under one roof, and ask them to challenge themselves by themselves, and to raise questions and to learn. We try always to make sure that they do not only learn from good examples or successes, they learn from failures. And that was, to us, one of the best knowledge exchange among peers, among utilities. Now, we are moving from 304 service providers into, hopefully, by the end of the road, into only 3 or 4 regional utilities. We have already started that. But again, the knowledge that is really rich among small or medium or large service providers is to be grouped and be useful, at least when we move into one step. It is true that there are some anchors, some pioneers, some experienced utilities, but there are some who lack the know-how. Now, the peer-to-peer would be really a great asset and a great push forward. But would that within the same region be enough? Within Palestine, would it be enough? Or should we learn from the Jordanians, from the Tunisian, Sudanese, from the Moroccans, from the Omanis? Each has its own challenges, and each has his own experience. We would believe that peer-to-peer, not only within the same region, but within the MENA region, can be helpful. When we have established our regulator, we have learned from the Italians, from the Germans, from the Kenyans, from Mozambique, from Zambia, and that was useful. Let us try do it among ourselves and share whatever knowledge that we have, wishing all success to your efforts in this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Said, for your wise words from Water Sector Regulatory Council of Palestinian. So next, I would like to invite Mr. Kees van der Lucht, Regional Director for WaterNet. Come.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. We are, as World WaterNet, working with Yarmouk Water Company in a WOP and with the Palestine Water Authority. We are connecting the knowledge and experience of WaterNet, the water cycle company in Amsterdam, with the needs and challenges of our WOP partners. And I was asked now to elaborate a bit on the place of data and IT within these WOPs. Well, I think at this moment, nowadays, every organization wants to become or be a data-driven organization. And more organizations have a chief data officer, a chief information officer. It's very important, and it will become more important. Also, within WODERNET, we have a lot of information systems for our asset management, for example, Maximo and SCADA. We have it for our human resource management system, AFAS. We have it for our billing system. That's a Microsoft Dynamic model. So we have these systems for everything. The experience we have we share that with other utilities. And the first one is Jarmouk Water Company. One of the activities we are doing with them is on the sewer line. We are supporting Jarmouk Water Company with changing in 7 streets the sewer lines, but just changing them is just a temporary success because they need to be maintained and operated. So we also trained at the beginning one small team in Amsterdam on the inspection with cameras in the sewer system. And now, indeed, they are apply this knowledge and cameras here in Eerbid. The results of this camera, the videos, are uploaded in a GIS system MapKit. So all the colleagues can more or less right away see the results. In the Palestine Water Authorities, we are working with the non-revenue water. We are using their sensors for improving the measuring of the leakages and also get a better insight in the billing system. Toka, she's here. She will present results Tuesday morning when we will have 2 sessions together with Hamburg Wasser, where we will share results with Jarmouk and also Mayuna. The third one is in Lao. In Lao, we started in 2017, and then everything, every assets, billing systems, everything was done well on paper and in person. So we started really from scratch with the GIS system. Asked them what they needed and wherefore. And now they really have an ArcInfo system. They can manage it by themselves. They are doing that with 3-4 other utilities in Laos. And they are making the standard now. They are now in the phase that they are using it also for the non-revenue water, for the billing system, and for other activities of them. And here, well, it was said before, they really learned from our mistakes, because what us took, well, I think 10 years on GIS within our organization, discussing everything, getting standards, they are doing that much faster. So they are really learning and have advantages of our mistakes. In conclusion, data, IT is really important. Has a lot of opportunities, and it should be important. But it's also, well, let's say, I think you have to think about your priorities, first things first, because introducing new information systems is really hard for your organization. You have to manage it. So it's also, well, keep it simple. The KISS approach, I think that's also important. Yeah, and then also maybe don't overrate it. And that's the same with WaterNet, but I think for all utilities. Because decision making, yes, you can do that better on facts and figures. But decision making is an example of it's not only about data. It's certainly not only about data. And besides that, well, we are talking about tools. But I think often there is a misunderstanding between tools and toys. Information systems are, well, interesting, and everyone wants to be connected to those tools. But if you want to use it as a tool, you have to know as an organization, what do I want to do with it? And maybe more important, you need the capacity and the expertise for the operations and maintenance. So it's not only about the investments, that's the moment where it starts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think really important things that you said, previous speakers were all highlighted. You learn from our mistakes. That's really the bottom line, that we learn from the previous mistakes so that we don't really repeat the same. I'm not quite sure if GIZ colleagues are, Dirk is not around, so we were hoping our GIZ colleague to also cover on capacity building, but maybe later on if he managed to join us later. So I'd like to hand over to, I guess it's from Aqaba Water Company, and your experience on water operator partnership, please, floor is yours.
مساء الخير للجميع. أنا المهندس أحمد أبو السعود من شركة مياه العقبة، مدير النظم وتكنولوجيا المعلومات. بدي أحكي عن تجربتين. التجربة الأولى اللي هي تجربة إدارة تكنولوجيا المعلومات بشركة مياه العقبة، والتجربة الثانية كيف إحنا بلشنا بالتعاون مع أكوا نعمل شراكات مع وتويننج مع اليوتيليتيز الثانية، وعم نحاول كمان نخدمهم ونستفيد منهم، لأن تويننج لا تعني إنه أنا بس أعطيهم، كمان ممكن أنا أستفيد من الخبرات اللي عندهم وكيف ممكن أنا أطبقها عندي، وخاصة بموضوع اللي بيكون مثلا اكسبيرينس جديدة علينا وعم بنفوت عليها. أهم كلمة بجوز سمعناها من المهندس خلدون عم بيحكي على موضوع التكاملية واللي هي الانتجريشن. التكاملية بين كل المعلومات أو بين كل الأنظمة هي السر بتكاملية الأنظمة، يعني أشغل جزئية لحالها أو موديول لحاله أو جهة معينة لحالها، هاي ما راح تعطيني الفول انفورميشن. اللي راح تعطيني الداتا بصحتها وبدقتها والمعلومة تصير تعمل أوديت وتدقيق على المعلومة الثانية تكاملية المعلومات. التكاملية تعني انه انا كمان هاي المعلومات اخذها من سواء كانت من معلومات كاستمر، معلومات موظف، معلومات شبكة، معلومات GIS، كلياتها هاي لازم تشتغل على ون بلاتفورم او بلاتفورم حقيقي بحقق هاي التكاملية. فلو جينا نحكي مثلا اليوم عن شركة مياه العقبة، شركة مياه العقبة تأسست بسنة 2004. بذلك الوقت لو كنا احنا عبارة عن خلينا نقول مستشفى او اي بزنس اخر، كان بنلاقي بالسوق برامج جاهزة بنمسك هاي البرامج وبنطبقها، لكن احنا كنا بنشتغل ضمن سلطة مياه، وزارة مياه، وما في هذيك البرامج التكاملية اللي ممكن تخلينا نشتغل على شغلتين، تكاملية البرنامج، والشغل الثاني انه نشتغل بمبدأ الكوميرشال بيسز، بالمبدأ التجاري لهاي المعلومة. فوضعنا على عاتقنا من ذلك الزمن انه احنا نبلش ننشئ موديل. هذا الموديل بيحكي عن الووتر يوتيليتي موديل. الووتر اللي هو بيعتني بقطاع المياه، بالهم تبع قطاع المياه. فانشأنا هذا الموديل اللي بيعتمد على اساسه على المعلومة الجغرافية. نظام المعلومات الجغرافي، كل الداتا تبعتنا لازم تنعكس على نظام المعلومات الجغرافي، لانه هو اللي بيحدد سواء موقع الكاستمر، 90% من أصولي تحت الأرض. كل إشي من غير أي معلومة، من غير نظم المعلومات الجغرافية بتكون منقوصة. وبالتالي بلشنا نأسس بنظم المعلومات الجغرافية بحيث أنه نبني كل هاي الداتا ترمي على نظم المعلومات الجغرافية. بعدين طلعنا بتكاملية الداتا من حيث نظام إدارة الموارد المؤسسية وهو ال ERP. اليوم بشركة مياه العقبة عم نستخدم مايكروسوفت داينامكس لإدارة كل الأمور المالية والإدارية، سواء كان بالHR أو كان بموضوع المالي، إدارة الأصول، المستودعات، المشتريات، كلها عم تشتغل من نافذة واحدة وهي نظام ال ERP سيستم. هذا نظام ال ERP سيستم ما كانش زي ما تفضل الأستاذ قبل شوي، ما كانش سهل تطبيقه، ما كان سهل تطبيقه. كان التطبيق هو عبارة عن أنك أنت تبلش تشتغل بإجراءات عمل، يجب أنك تفهم البزنس صح. فالتكاملية أنك أنت تعرف شو البزنس بحاجة، ترسم هاي الإجراءات بالترتيب، تحاول أنك تعمل لها تطبيق حتى لو كان بمستوى يدوي، وبعدين أسهل شغلة إنك تأدمت هاي الإجراءات. فلا بد من خلق البزنس وكيف آلية التعامل بين هاي الدوائر وبين هاي المؤسسات. فعلشان هيك بلشنا إحنا بكتابة إجراءات عمل كاملة توصف كامل العمل، وشو كيف ممكن نعملها اوبتمايزيشن، كيف ممكن نعملها بحيث إنها كمان إنه إحنا نحقق الربح. لأنه عشان أنت تربح مش شرط بالضرورة إنك دائما وأبدا تزيد التعرفة أو ترفع السعر. إذا أنت بتعمل enhance optimization utilization للريسورسز تبعونك، ممكن كمان تقلل التكلفة مما يؤدي إلى عمل الربح. وبالتالي بلشنا نحاول نجمع كل هاي المعلومات بنظام واحد اليوم عندنا هو نظام ال ERP سيستم. هلا خلصنا كل هاي المنظومة، بلس إنه بلشنا تو انفولف التكنولوجي اللي هي اوريدي موجودة بالعالم. اليوم عم نشتغل على السمارت ميترينج، حولنا كل عدادات العقبة لسمارت ميتر. السمارت ميتر عم ببعث كل هاي المعلومات للداتابيس اللي عم بنعملها تحليل، وعم نقدر نشوف ريال تايم ساعة بساعة فاتورة أو قراءة كل عداد وأي ملاحظة على هذا العداد. هاي التكاملية بين معلومات الكاستمر، معلومات المالية، إدارة الأصول، كلياتها رح تعطي الديسيجن ميكر عبارة عن تقارير. بالعكس هي بتكون منبع لأنك أنت تحدد الأكشنز اللي لازم تأخذها على كل الأكتيفيتي اللي ممكن تحقق لك أنت الهدف الأساسي وهو الأوبتمايزيشن بإدارة المرفق المائي. التعاون كمان مع الدوائر الثانية مع البزنس، وبصير عملية تشينج مانجمنت، لأنها مش سهلة إنك تأدوبت سيستم جديد وأنظمة جديدة تغير فيها طريقة العمل. فكمان هاي بدها تكون مأخوذة بعين الاعتبار. فأي مؤسسة الآن بدها تيجي تطبق أي نظام أو أي كمبيوترايز سيستم، يجب كمان انها تاخذ بعين الاعتبار موضوع اداره التغيير، انك تنقل الناس من باسلوب عمل هم كانوا يشتغلوا فيه لاسلوب عمل سمارت، بيشتغل الآلة عم تشتغل عم بتجيب هاي المعلومة وهي اللي عم تعطيه القرار ليتخذ القرار الصحيح. فمثال بدي أضربه، مثلا اليوم عم نستخدم نظام إدارة الأصول، بلشنا نستخدم فيه بالتكاملية هاي. لو كانت مثلا عندنا الموضوع البريفنتيف مينتيننس اللي عم بتحققه الأسيت مانجمنت أو إدارة الأصول، اللي هي ممكن تعطيك أنت الحالة الحقيقية متى ممكن تعمل هذه الصيانة الوقائية وتقدر أنت تستفيد منها. لأنه العلم بيحكي إذا احنا عملنا الصيانة الوقائية بموعدها 20% من النت بروفيت بيزيد، لأنه إذا ما صار خراب لهاي المعدة تلقائيا أنت ما حتصرف عليها وحتكون في عمود الربح حتما. فالهدف من الموضوع تبع سمارت يوتيليتي إنه إحنا كشركة مياه العقبة بلشنا بخلق هذا الموديل. هذا الموديل بلش يكتمل وبلشنا نشاركه حتى ونأخذ منه خبرات من خلال التويننج مع الشركات الثانية، بحيث إنه كمان تكون في تغذية راجعة. قد تكون في نوع من العمليات إحنا ما بنطبقه عنا وبالتالي ممكن إنه إحنا نطبقه. سمارت ميتر اليوم فاد مش بس المؤسسة، كمان فاد الكاستمر، لأنه هلأ عم نطور بموبايل ابليكيشن عم بعطي الكاستمر ريال تايم عن استهلاك عداده واعطيه الارمز. يعني مثال، اذا انا اليوم زاد استهلاكي عن رينج معين راح ينبهني السيستم ويقول لي انه استهلاكك زاد عن هذا الرينج اللي انت لاحظته لحالك. اذا طلعت من شريحه لشريحه كمان راح يصير في هاي الالارمز. المواطن راح يكون وصول المعلومه للمواطن كمان هو راح ياخذ عليها اكشن، وهذا الحكي راح يعمل سيفنج. فبعض الريزلت اللي طلعت منا من استخدام السمارت ميتر هي مثال انه احنا في منطقه من المناطق كان عندنا الفاقد 67%، بعد ما ركبنا بس غيرنا عدادات نزل الفاقد ل 17%. شو اللي سواه العداد؟ العدادات الميكانيكية القديمة بمثال زي العقبة هي عبارة عن continuous supply. فاليوم لما انت تغير هذا العداد الميكانيكي اللي ما بقيس المينيمم فلو وتبدله بعداد سمارت بقيس نقطة المي اللي عم بتفوت لأي كاستمر، فانت عم تاخذ قراءة حقيقية. النون ريفينيو ووتر اذا ما كان مبني والفاقد اذا كان مش مقاس بناء على تولز حقيقية سمارت تعطيك قيمة المي اللي اوريدي استهلكت، قيمة المي اللي اوريدي دخلت على السيستم، انت راح تضل عندك مسليدنج وتفكر انه المشكلة بالشبكة وتعمل انفستمنت بملايين بهاي الشبكة، وهي المياه فعلا وصلت للمواطن وتم استخدامها، لكن السنسر الميتر اللي موجود عند الكاستمر ما عد كمية المي اللي فاتت على هذا الكاستمر. وبالتالي استخال التكنولوجيا على مجال اليوتيليتي هذا عشان تاخذ قراءات حقيقية تبني عليها قرارات سليمة مبنية على داتا فعلية من الميدان، لابد من إدخال هاي التكنولوجي بطريقة كاملة. اليوم عم نتطلع بالعقبة بسوليوشن متكامل، سكادا سيستم من الآبار للترانسميشن لاين خطوط الناقلة اليوم موجود، لديستريبيوشن نتورك. كل هاي الداتا من نقطة المي تحت الأرض لتطلع من الآبار لتروح بالخطوط الناقلة لتروح لشبكات التوزيع لتنقاس بالسمارت ميتر لترجع مرة تانية بخطوط الصرف الصحي لتتنقى عن طريق محطات التنقية لترجع تنضخ مرة تانية بالريوز. كلياتها عم بتشوفها زي أكنها كشاط مصنع ماشي من أولها لآخرها، كل مفصل نتورك عم تعرف شو عم بيستهلك وشو عم باخذ. قديش هذا كان مفيد للشركة بأنك أنت اليوم بيعطيك الألارمز ريال تايم، إذا كان في أي مشكلة بأي جهة أنت عم تقدر تصلها بنفس اللحظة وعم تقدر تأخذ الأكشن المناسب بنفس اللحظة. بكرة عندنا بريزنتيشن تفصيلية راح تكون كاملة بكل هاي الأنظمة وكيف كل نظام وشو ساهم كل نظام في كيف عمل أو أثره على النون ريفينيو ووتر وكمان على الريفينيو تبع الشركة. شكرا.
So thank you very much for your practical experience and sharing your experience with us. So with that, I would like to take another maybe 5 minutes to explain a little bit the idea of the platform and where we are coming from, and then hopefully we have some discussion after this. So can I have a presentation? Okay. So please, if you have not sort of like put input, so this is in a way for your chance to also provide your experience by just scanning this code, so then you can actually also type your ideas into discussion. So I'm going to explain this long, oops, sorry. What is the benefit of a platform? What do we sort of like offer, and what is it going to bring in the region? So I'll start with this one. We are basically, as a global alliances, we have this water operator partnership platform that we are collecting actually database, trying to build a database of water operator partnership that is happening around the world. By UNHABITAT, by us, but also by our partner. So if you are implementing like a water operator partnership, please get in touch with us and share your information, your experience with us, so that we can actually build this database. This is a public sort of asset. It's no cost to anyone. It is open So anyone can, not anyone, once you become a member, so you can actually access to this database to also see who is there, who has done similar work. So currently we have over 440 WOP database, and we're trying to build and enhance. So being part of the network, so you have opportunity to actually access this database and use it for your programming as well. So the other sort of tool that we are also providing, we have developed this, what we call it, partnership management platform. And if you are implementing WOP again and part of the GOWPA as a GOWPA member, so you can also have access to to monitor and implement your WOP using this platform. And this provides you actually developing your work plan, establishing key performance indicators, and producing reporting on your impacts, and being more transparent, also engaging with all partners to actually provide inputs how the partnership is performing and what impacts they are delivering. So as also entity, you can also generate all your reports. So it's kind of online tool that allows you to manage your partnership. So the other element, for example, once you become once you're part of the network, so you don't need to even be part of the network, but of course we encourage everyone to become. We have a quite vibrant community of practice that are in various sort of like topics. This is actually facilitated in partnership with the Dutch Water Partnership Program. And WaterNet is also part of this sort of like engagement. So we have a quite vibrant discussion. That community of practice are coming together. They are actually discussing specific issues. And this is almost happening every week, every month. There are several discussions happening in different areas. So you become, as an individual, as a sort of institution, you can become member of this community of practice actually to learn continuously from others what they have done. So we are also developing the range of the online e-learning courses that becomes available for the platform to actually sort of use it and enhance the capacity of their members. And then we are also trying to, with our partners, to mobilize resources that becomes available to establishing the WOP and to actually facilitating the WOP. So for example, currently we have a funding from the EU and implementing 22 WOPs around the globe. So we are trying to mobilize more resources that becomes available for the region and for around the region. So that's another aspect of it, to actually together with our hosting partner, with our network, to actually mobilize resources. So, and the other area is really this is, as much as that we do good work, we also need to make sure that this is advocated at the global regional level, and it becomes a policy priority. So as long as this issue that is your challenges are not policy priority, that doesn't get like a stage in various venues, various forums. So we tend to actually struggle with our sort of like challenges. So we're trying to also, through this platform, to enhance the visibility, good work of the utilities and the region, try to actually make them visible, try to make them heard at the global level, regional level, or in a country level. So, for example, the UN Water Conference is one of the key global events that's happening this month in March in New York. This is almost like 50 years later, UN for the first time actually holding a conference to look at the water issue comprehensively, because it's the first time the UN organized actually a conference on specifically water was almost 50 years ago. So this is also another avenue. I mean, the same Arab Water Week is another critical sort of avenue in the region, so that actually we engage more utilities to bring them together to make sure they are part of this discussion. And so the eligibility to host platform, and there are various criteria. Being UN organizations, so we're trying to establish a process that is inclusive. Whoever has actually fulfilled the criteria can come forward and express interest. But the basic criteria are here listed. So basically, if you are national, sub-regional, regional, public utilities, if you are associations like ACWA, and your state is non-for-profit, and you're in your structure, so utilities are representing in your governance structure. You have a clear mandate to establish the water operator partnership, and you are committing to the GOWPA, the charter and the guiding principles. I think in the earlier on I show you the 7 principles, and you demonstrate you have a sort of like clear plan to take these forward, so you can actually be a host of the platform. And so I'm going to stop here for a few seconds. If you are interested to become an institutional membership or individual member of the community of practice, you can actually scan this QR code and become member, but you can also just go to the www.gowpa.org join section, so become a member of the GOWPA. So this is completely free of charge. There is no membership fee, so it's completely on the voluntary basis. With a few seconds, I give you more if any of you interested. So the whole of this discussion of basically the just a second, I think. Yeah, so we are basically the process of, establishing the platform. Like I said, if you are organization and utilities, 5 utilities can also come together and actually sign a memorandum. They can also host a platform, become a sort of like a platform. But if you are already established a network such as ACWA Association, you can also go ahead to do it. So what we are going to do, we're going to actually post it an expression of interest for organization, whoever is interested to host the platform is going to come hopefully this month. And once we get a request, and this will be sort of presented to the International Steering Committee, and once steering committee is endorsed, so we will have an agreement memorandum of understanding with the agency that is going to host, and then from there that will be sort of like formalized as GOWPA accredited platform in the region. So the activities of the platform will basically start from very minimum to full operational, starting looking at different stages of the work. So it's more of like incremental improvement to become more a fully fledged platform. It's not necessarily to immediately actually to get everything on board. So the whole of this discussion, I guess Mr. Khaldun alluded to this in earlier on, we had from 2019, 2020, almost a year-long process, which actually started with the EGM expert group meeting to look at the issues in the region. And then ACWA conducted a sort of like quite inclusive sort of survey to capture the interest in the region and the demand in the region, which was again discussed by expert group meeting. So that this process were like a very long, lengthy 1-year process to come to the conclusion how we are going to actually formalize this process in the region, how we are going to establish this. But then COVID came, so everything from 2022 put on hold. And we are only now trying to revamp that discussion of the year 2 years ago, so to bring this discussion back to the agenda in the region to see how we can actually take this forward. So again, I'm going to leave you this with these slides. Is really what, when we are looking at the water issue in the region, we're looking at primarily these issues on the water scarcity and region being sort of stressed with the water, and how that is going to affect on the overall society. So we have number of this sort of like area that's part of this water discussion, such as climate change, conflict migration, urbanization, unequal access to water, and importantly, the governance, how this has been actually managed and delivered and worked out. So these are going to be our sort of like area that when we move forwards, and I think many of water operator partnership water programs, one way or another, actually tackling and one or several elements of this sort of like these challenges in the region. So with that one, I stop here. I thank you very much for your time. I know we have only, I guess, 10 minutes for questions. And if you have any questions, please raise your hands and say which organization you are representing, so that we can give a floor to you. Thank you. So I think, yeah, maybe.
بكره السيشن اي سيشن مشان الديجيتاليزيشن؟ اوكي.
Thanks. First of all, I want to thank for your presentations, and because they are very excellent. Thank you. I have a question. I'm representing the University of Lisbon, and I have a question to Mr. Ahmad Abu from ACPA. Thanks for your view of integration, of information system integration. But you have told it that you have reduced the water losses to 17. This is water losses, or are you talking about non-revenue water?
We change, let's say, the meters on this area. Before we change this, we measure the non-revenue water for this area. The non-revenue water, we have also third party that measure with us the non-revenue water before we change the meters. So we found that the non-revenue water in both, in physical and commercial, it's 67. We change only the meter, the mechanical meter by smart meter. In ACPA situation, we have continuous supply. So 24/7, we supply the water for the customer. So after we change the meters, the same third party come with us and measure the non-revenue water. It's 17. That means the water is consumed by the customer, but our sensor, the mechanical meter in continuous supply situation, is not measure the quantity very well. Because if the non-revenue water, as we're hearing now, is 60, is 70, that means the water should be in the street. But I think the problem is in the meter itself. So if we change the meter by right and accurate meter, we found that the customer is used this water, but it's measured as non-revenue water.
يعطيك العافية سيد أحمد. سؤالي بخص برضه نون ريفينيو ووتر. انت حكيت بانك غيرتوا عدد من الميكانيكال ووتر ميتر لسمارت ميتر. سمارت ميتر بتقصد فيها البريبيد يعني
في عنا شغلتين بسمارت ميتر. في شغلة اللي هي المترولوجي نفسها، كنا بنعتمد على الميكانيكال ميتر انه في موفن بارتس، في فراشه جوا العداد عم بتلف عشان تقيس العداد. هلا سمارت ميتر في شقين، اذا غيرنا التكنولوجي هاي لالتراسونيك او الكترومagnetic، هاي هون دقه العداد، هذا اللي راح ياثر على اللي هو فاقد المياه. بس اذا احنا كمان عملنا انه القراءه ريال تايم تصلنا كل ساعه او كل ربع ساعه، كمان هذا راح ياثر على دقه القراءات ونلغي الهيومنج او الخطا البشري في ادخال القراءات، وفي نفس الوقت عم نتابع العدادات اول باول كل ساعه. فالتنتين تكامليه المعلومه ما بين انك غيرت المترولوجي نفسها وجبت القراءه وعم بنعمل عليها تشيك، هذا كلياته راح ياثر على النون ريفينيو ووتر بالمنطقه. فتغيير التكنولوجيا تبعت القياس وتغيير كمان وانك تاخذي القراءه ريال تايم، هذا كمان بياثر. واثر كمان في له يعني زي ما بيقولوا نتائج مباشره ونتائج غير مباشره. بدي اعطيكم مثلا انا بيتي كان استهلاكي بالبيت فاتورتي بالثلاث اشهر 7 دنانير ونص. غيرنا العداد صارت فاتورتي 75 دينار. مش معقول 10 أضعاف.
You are honest man.
Yes. فلما جيت اساوي التجربه قلت خلينا اسكر المي على على المحبس اللي فايت على الخزان تبعي الروف توب تانك. سكرت يوم الاحد الصبح، يوم الاربعاء انا ما عندي مي، يعني انه انا استهلاكي مترين وشوي بالثلاث ايام. هذا الحكي شو بيؤدي؟ انه فعلا فاتوره ال 75 هي الصح مش ال7.5. يعني لو كنا بنحكي 7.5 ب90 يوم بنحكي ب8 قروش باليوم، مش معقول كل هالاستهلاك ب8 قروش باليوم. فهمت علي كيف؟ فهي انه لما حطينا الاداه اللي بتقيس صح خلتني هلا شو الحل الوحيد؟ الحل الوحيد انه انا اقلل استهلاكي، اعمل ترشيد لاستهلاكي، فصرت اذا في عندي شغله خربانه بالبيت او تسريب اصلحه. هذا الحكي خلى فاتورتي تنزل لل40 بالثلاث اشهر، يعني كمان مع رقم منطقي. في نفس الوقت المي اللي انا ما استهلكتها وكانت تضيع وما كنتش قلقان عليها لانه فاتورتي كانت 7 ليرات ونص، ليش بدي اصلح؟ هلا هذا الحكي عمل سيفنج. هذا السيفنج خلانا نستفيد كمان من الانفراستراكشر اللي موجوده بمدينه العقبه ونأجل الاكسبانشن. اذا كنا بنكبر هاي الخطوط، لا، اليوم السيفنج اللي صار عند الكاستمر خلى هاي الخطوط تكفرنا كمان 5-6 سنين قادمه. وبالتالي هذا اثر غير مباشر انك انت استفدتي من الاصول الموجوده وعملتي لها يوتيلايزيشن، وهذا كلياته لما بنحسب بنلاقي بانه البي باك فاليو تبعت هذا العداد والريفينيو راح تكون عظيمه جدا. شكرا.
May I have 30 seconds? هلا بالنسبة للإخوان أعضاء المرافق المياه ممثلين الموجودين بالمؤتمر، هل نحن بحاجة إلى بلاتفورم أو حاضنة للمرافق المياه العربية إنها تكون موجودة وتكون في المنطقة حتى نبدأ نسوي نقل المعرفة والخبرات وإجراء التوأمة بحيث أنه ننهض بهذا القطاع؟ هذا السؤال مهم جدا. إذا نحن نريد ذلك لازم نأخذ قرار. أولا بالنسبة للأعضاء الموجودين في الجمعية، أنا راح أودي كمان كويشنير إنه هل إحنا بدنا أو لا. ومستر إمري Thursday the final day will be having a meeting in our board of directors and the new board of course elected. So we'll put this in our agenda and discuss it. That if we need, because the board is presenting every member presenting his utility members. So this will be like the General Assembly. And once we decide that, then you can authorize that we can ask for hosting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is really a great way forward. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Is there any questions? Yes, please.
عن الووتر تاريف، بما انه في هذا السمارت ووتر ميتر، شو ما حكيتنا بس عن الووتر تاريف اند ويست ووتر تاريف، كيف انتم يعني عاملينها؟ في مجال تشرح لنا شوي؟
عندنا تتحدد من الكابينت، من رئاسة الوزراء، فبشكلها هي عبارة عن عداد المي بقيس قديش كمية المي اللي فاتت على أو اللي استهلكها هذا الزبون، وفي نسبة بناء على الشريحة قديش هو استهلك مي، قديش عليها نسبة لاستفادة أو الاستهلاك الانتفاع بالصرف الصحي. فبنحدد إذا كانت هاي المنطقة أول شيء مخدومة بالصرف الصحي، إذا كانت هاي المنطقة مخدومة بالصرف الصحي بينحط على كل متر بيستهلكوا مي نسبة حسب الشريحة لكمية أو لأجور الانتفاع بالصرف الصحي، وبتنزل معه بنفس الفاتورة. فبيكون عندنا بالفاتورة كمية مياه مبنية عليها بدل استهلاك مياه أو أثمان مياه زائد أجور انتفاع بالصرف الصحي بنفس الفاتورة، وهيك بيتم احتسابها. نعم، احنا عندنا التعرفة شرائح، كل ما تطلع من تصاعدية، كل ما تطلع من شريحة لشريحة بيزيد ثمن المي ومعه بيزيد ثمن الانتفاع بالصرف الصحي. فهي عبارة عن شرائح مقسمة في شريحة، وبزيد وبتخف نسبة الدعم كل ما زاد استهلاك الكاستمر.
شكرا.
واحد أخي هارون، في مشكلتين ممكن تواجهك بالقضيتين، تعرف مياه والصرف الصحي. احنا عملنا نظام تعرف موحد مياه وصرف صحي ينطبق على كل فلسطين ضفة وغزة، لكن لقينا بعض اليوتيليتيز لما قسمنا لشرائح، الشريحة الأولى بيدفع 80% فقط من التكلفة ثم تصاعدية، والشريحة الأولى كان من 0 إلى 10 متر مكعب فقط، والثانية 10 إلى 20. لكن لقينا بلدان زي أريحة حاليا الشريحة الأولى من 0 إلى 60 متر مكعب، وفي طول كرم زيتا وفي قلقيلية الشريحة الأولى من 0 إلى 60. يقول لك كيف بدي أحطها من 0 إلى 10؟ ليش؟ عندهم كمية مية زي العقبة 24/7 وكمية مياه جوفية متاحة، هذه عندهم يعني واردة. هلا ففي بتلاقي بعض الإشكاليات. هلا في الويست ووتر صح ان في عندنا 72 سيرفيس بروفايدر للصرف الصحي ب 72 تعرفة مختلفة، لكن هلا بلشنا نوحد تعرفة الصرف الصحي، رجعنا نفس المشكلة. طب في بلديات وفي قرى اللي عندهم بيعتبروا ال5 دونمات حول البيت هذه حديقة منزلية وبيعطيها من مية الشبكة. طب هذا استهلاك المياه عالي جدا، بس الصرف الصحي تقريبا 0 ما عدا الدومستيك. كيف تحاسبوا هذا إذا اعتبرنا نسبة؟ يعني عادة النسب تعطيك سوليوشن، بس إلا يطلع عندك 15% ديفيشن أو حالات شاذة هون وهون.
Yes, thank you very much. I think I know we already passed like 5 minutes, but if there is one burning last question, then otherwise we can close it. No. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.